Just kind of wanted to start off with it too. Just to kind of explain the process. We're just going to be putting these a part of a series for the Move Your Way campaign coming up here in September. And what we really wanted to do is have you be the content expert to be talking about prenatal exercise. Because you guys do have a program currently at the Y then?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, pre-COVID, it was current. Not everything we've had has come back fully, right? So that's one we haven't brought back since COVID, but yes, we
Okay.
have run multiple prenatal type programs and classes.
Oh, perfect then. So that's great. It's just a great opportunity to have that, I guess. Yeah, pre
Yeah,
sort of thing, I guess. But yeah, hopefully that's something coming up ahead or looking at doing something like that in the future, I guess then.
definitely.
So the first question I did have for you here right away is I just wanted to see if could you explain is it safe for pregnant women to be actually exercising? What can they be doing, I guess, at that point?
Right. So I was working at the Y for a couple years before I had kids myself. So the interest was very personal to me. I was working here, active teaching classes, and then got pregnant. And since then, I've had 4 kids. So I've been here working at the Y during 4 pregnancies. So, and then during that time, I also got my prenatal exercise certificate because I was just like, okay, I need to learn if I'm going through it, so then I can teach others.
Mhm.
And all pregnancies are different, right? So you might have precautions or contraindications set by your provider where you can't do certain things depending on some health issues you have. But if you have a healthy pregnancy, there should be no reasons why you can't stay active. The benefits outweigh, right? I think long gone are the times where they're like, oh, you're pregnant, sit down, rest, put your feet up.
Yeah.
I think you get more benefit by trying to stay active. Rest when you can, but I found more benefits from staying active and making that exercise a part of my routine. My recovery was so much quicker. After my kids, I was walking the hallways. I had 4 C-sections, and I can only credit that to staying active up until like maybe the last 4 weeks when I was just like done.
Yeah.
um, so the benefits outweigh, and I mean I could go on and on, but moving your body helps keep your blood sugar circulating, right? We don't want, as pregnant women, we don't want our blood sugar to build up. That's something we get tested later on in pregnancy. Exercise can help with that. Um, yes, with pregnancy, our ligaments start to loosen, especially around like our hips and our pelvis. But to counter that, then your muscles get really, really crazy, super tight to protect those joints. So stretching, they say, be cautious, but man, your muscles need it, or you're going to be in a lot of pain. So it just all has to be done safely. And later on in pregnancy, they don't want you on a bike, like on a trail, right? Risk of falling, but spin class, sure. Your risk of falling on a stationary spin bike is less. No horseback riding for the same reason, but walking on a treadmill, fine. Past your second trimester, you don't want to do any exercise flat on your back. If laying flat on your back, the weight of the baby and everything else can compress the arteries, cut off blood supply. So there's some changes you might have to do later on. So you're not doing things flat on your back, but there's a ton of modifications out there.
Okay. Oh, that's really great to hear that actually then too. So, and that was one of the ones I had for a question then too, and you answered it already. Just what were the benefits actually from that too? So it's really great to see that it just, there's a lot of benefits you can gain from it just even while you're pregnant to keep moving and keep your body moving and help you with that then. Yeah.
Right. And I always caution moms to if they were doing it before, then continue it into your pregnancy. Just because you're pregnant does not mean you have to stop going on your walks or, lifting your machine weights or whatever. But what you don't want to do is you were completely doing nothing and now you're pregnant and you're going to start all this new exercise.
Right.
That's when you have to take it back a little bit because that's a lot of new stuff on your body.
Yeah.
Continue what you're doing. Otherwise talk to a professional. If you're like, well, I know I just got pregnant, but I know this is really important. Talking to somebody to kind of set up a plan might be safer if you weren't doing anything prior.
Okay. Yeah, that's great to know that too, and that's really great for people to hear that, just so they can understand that not going too far into it right away too, and just kind of taking their time and letting their body tell them how quickly they need to go about things with it. Then, so
Right.
another really question I did have, and you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but what are some of the different exercises that are really safe for pregnant women to be doing then too? Is
Right.
it like cardio, or is it like the weightlifting? What are some of those exercises that are deemed safe for them then?
Yeah, so we learned a lot by doing this. I had my first kid 9 years ago, and that's when I kind of started working with myself being pregnant and with other pregnant women. And we learn a lot. One thing that I definitely don't do in weightlifting is, again, flat on your back. Like, we just don't do it anything. So no floor core exercises on your back, or like bench pressing. We're not going to be doing it. So that I take out of the equation. And then I also take out of the equation anything overhead, just because that can put an extra strain on your lower back. And with pregnant ladies, you already have that protruded belly and strain on your back. So those are the two big things off the back: nothing overhead, nothing flat on your back. But outside of that, we can do a whole bunch of stuff. Safety. But what I found the most popular, myself and participants we've had, prenatal yoga. They just love it. It teaches you how to breathe, which can help with labor. Super relaxing. You get really good stretches. So we've done a lot of prenatal yoga, which has been popular, and getting in the pool. When I first did our program, it was like a 6 or 8 week series, and I sprinkled in maybe 1 or 2 aqua workouts because I wasn't sure. But towards the end, before we had to stop doing it, it was a twice a week program, and every single week we're in the water. So it went from maybe trying it once or twice to making it a weekly class. It just, getting in the water, it takes a lot of the weight off your joints, and you can do a lot more safely in the water than you could on land. So I found out real quickly that pregnant mamas love being in the water. It just feels really good.
Yeah.
So those are kind of we try and incorporate a lot of the yoga aspect and a lot of the aqua, and then we fit in between biking, walking, and then some easy weights on our machine.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's something too, really good to know about, like the yoga part, and then just being in the water too really could help out with the joints and help with some of the movement, and really still getting some of that exercise, but not having to worry about getting hurt or anything like that then too.
Yep.
And that really kind of brought up another good question I had, or a question that I was going to lead to too, or just what are some of the things that you should avoid for exercise too? I know you mentioned some of the things like laying on your back and overhead, but are there some other things like pregnant women should just try avoiding just in that time then?
Well, anything that's going to be like high impact, like I mentioned, avoid riding bikes outside, going horseback riding, anything that has a risk of falling, or like basketball, high impact stuff. You want to avoid that. Overhead, I mentioned avoiding laying on your back. And I think one of the biggest ones that I'll re-say is not bringing in something new. Continue doing what you were doing, but don't just take some crazy new class on if you weren't previously doing it before your pregnancy. Building it up nice and slow, and go into it knowing that it's not going to feel the same and it's going to be different. Exercise during pregnancy has a totally different purpose than exercising prior or after for weight loss or muscle tone. It has a completely different purpose. Mamas get out of breath real quickly. Not only is the baby taking up room of your lungs, but not half, I don't know the technical amount, but a lot of your oxygen is going to the baby, right? So you're sharing what you're used to having alone with the fetus. So you're out of breath all the time. So going into that knowing it's just going to feel different. You're going to get winded pretty quickly. So your purpose of it is going to be a lot different.
Okay. And that's a good thing to point out too, because that even kind of is something different for me to think about too, is if somebody's used to maybe doing cardio or strength training, things like that, but when they start doing exercise during being prenatal, it's completely different too. So what I guess is kind of like the purpose, I suppose, or what should you kind of be trying to aim for? Is it just kind of trying to stay in shape? You're not obviously going to try and lose weight or gain muscle or anything, but what should your kind of goals almost be at that point then?
I mean, it might be different per person, but I think any person's goal during pregnancy, one of them is going to hopefully ease your labor, right? Make labor easy, make your recovery a little bit easier. If you feel like you've been trying to keep in shape and have good muscle tone, that could help you during labor, and that could help you recover after a little bit quicker. It could help with fatigue. This is the same thing with like cancer survivors, pregnant women, fatigue, they go hand in hand. And there's been a lot of research that's saying, I know you want to go sit on the couch when you're tired, but what could actually really help you is go for a walk. Like that can help fight fatigue. So it might make you feel better. You get the happy hormones when you move your body and get your heart rate up. Same thing with pregnant ladies. It might just make you feel good. But I think, and then the other thing I would add, like the reasons to exercise while pregnant is I mean, your body goes through trauma from the minute you're pregnant till you deliver. You just go through the works. So keeping muscle tone is going to help. Keeping strong muscles is going to help kind of hoard off or help you through all that changing through your joints and stretching and all that stuff. It just might make some things easier the more active and holding on to some strength.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know with that too, is just, yeah, you're kind of going at it for a different purpose almost at that point too. And your goals just change a little bit differently then. And then right after even birth, what is the recommended time to kind of get back into, maybe, I don't know necessarily a normal routine, but kind of get back into doing some of the exercising, things like that? Is there like a suggested wait time almost at that point, or?
It's kind of case by case basis, and it's definitely different if it's a natural pregnancy versus C-section, right? There's and I had 4 C-sections, and with that, before they even discharge you, you meet with a physical therapist. They kind of check you out. They give you a list of things to do. But you'd be surprised, even with a C-section, they're just like getting up and moving, like not hitting the gym. But as soon as you get the clear from your PT, to get up and walk. I remember like one day post surgery, as soon as they unhooked me from everything on my first kid, I was walking the halls and my doctor came in and was like, "Where's Jackie?" And I'm like, "I'm out in the halls. I can't sit still."
Yeah.
And he was shocked by that, but I had a wonderful recovery. So I guess I would defer this question to your doctor and to the PT. But you'd be surprised how quickly they would clear you to get up and moving.
Yeah, and you mentioned that too, is a great point of just being able to recover a little bit quicker than too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said even before, is you may want to sit on the couch and rest a little bit too, but that's really going to help your body just getting up and moving, and even doing those small things of just walking a little bit, trying to do some of those things, stretching. I think that's going to have some benefits to everyone.
Oh, it will. Yeah. I mean, there's a misconception that you can't strengthen your core when you're pregnant because it just seems so bizarre that you have a baby there. How am I? Well, you're not going to do traditional sit-ups on the floor, but there's a lot of great stuff for kind of like your corset type core muscles, your pelvic health that you can do on stability balls against a wall, standing even, and that can go a long way. Like you would think I'm not going to strengthen my core while pregnant, but that could really help during labor and, like you said, recovery.
Yeah.
A lot of women get what's called diastasis recti, which is your abdominal muscles like separating as the baby grows. And it's the cartilage in between the muscles that is stretching and oftentimes doesn't go back together. But working on core during pregnancy could kind of help recovering and gain some of that back. So it seems defeatist, but even though your belly's stretching out, you still have muscles in there. So I still try to incorporate some sort of core stuff, even if it's sitting on the ball and doing pelvic rolls or pelvic tilts against the wall. It still gets the muscles around the core to activate.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely good to know with that too then. So, and then really the final question I did have for you is if some pregnant women were looking for some of these different exercises or, different things that they could do, what resources would you provide for them? Can they find some of this information at the Y? Where do you suggest that they go and look for some of these things then?
Well, I mean, easy enough is reaching out to me. I'm always willing to talk and give people input. Like I said, because of COVID, we don't have set programs. We don't want a reason to gather a bunch of pregnant people together right now. But I'd be more than happy to talk with somebody, email with somebody, or if they wanted to stop over and talk, to give them some guidance. I have a bunch of handouts on do's and don'ts and what you should and shouldn't do. So there's that. And then, I mean, you can find a whole bunch of at-home prenatal type workouts, but I'll just caution, if it's something you weren't doing before, maybe talk to somebody before starting that, just to make sure it's something that you think would be beneficial.
Right.
And then hopefully, as things get back to normal, then we can start our programming again.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Then hopefully people can kind of go back to that and be able to get a little bit of guidance as they're maybe trying some of these things then too. So
yeah, because there's that safety factor, being with other pregnant moms, because we always did it in like groups of 5 or 6, being around other moms, and you get to kind of complain and with somebody who knows what it's like and what they're going through. But then you have the safety of the instructor there. If you're worried or have a question, you're just kind of in this safe zone. So,
which is great. That's an amazing resource to provide with that too. And yeah, that's the Norman Watts Senior YMCA for those maybe who listening or hadn't heard about that too. great program that they offered then too beforehand. So hopefully that thing gets back and up and running, and hopefully pretty soon at least with that then too. So
yeah. So our program was called Fit for Two, hence mom and baby. So when we get it back, look for that. Otherwise, in the meantime, if you have questions, you're pregnant now, reach out. I can help.
Yep. Yeah, and that's Jacque Perez she's wellness director for the Norman Watts Senior YMCA in South Sioux City, Nebraska. So yeah, people just feel free to give her a call, contact her too if there's any questions or anything like that then too. So perfect. Well, Jacque, thank you so much for your time today. Too, and thank you for sharing all this great wisdom with us too. So
awesome. Well, keep me in mind if you need something else.
Yeah, definitely will do. And thank you so much then. Take care.
Have a good day. Bye.